With civilization balancing on a knife edge, most of us think about stockpiles of canned goods, water filters, and maybe a secure basement. This is our limit of survival. But what if your capital allows you not only to survive the end of the world, but to ignore it completely? What if you could build a world where the apocalypse was just bad news from the past that you read over breakfast on the deck of your own invulnerable universe? We tend to think that the most secure places on the planet are military bunkers or presidential retreats, but that's at the state level. And what happens at the private level, at the level of those whose wealth exceeds the GDP of small countries? In recent decades, a quiet, invisible arms race has unfolded. The race for immortality, for a guaranteed future for one's kind. And the scale of this race has already gone far beyond what we could have imagined. Before we get to the main part, we would like to ask you for a little support. A like and a subscription will be the best gratitude. Thank you. It's not just bunkers that are being built. Autonomous ecosystems, mobile fortresses, and entire floating cities are being created. But even among these engineering marvels and limitless budgets, there is one project so ambitious and secretive that information about it leaks out only in fragments in encrypted reports from private intelligence agencies and the quiet whispers of retired admirals. A project that represents not just a shelter, but a new model of civilization. A mobile, invisible, and completely autonomous fleet, created to wait out the very death of the old world. And what we learn about him in the end will make us take a fresh look at the very concept of power and survival in the 21st century. But to understand its essence, we must descend underground and rise to the heavens, examining the steps that led to this incredible finale. Let's begin our journey underground. Forget about damp concrete basements with bunks and boxes of stew. The first step in the evolution of survival for the super-rich was underground luxury apartments. These are not just bunkers. These are fully fledged residential complexes, buried tens of meters beneath bedrock, capable of withstanding a direct nuclear strike, an asteroid impact, or a global pandemic lasting for years. And the leader of this industry is the company Vive. Its founder, Robert Vicinho, transformed old Cold War military bunkers into veritable underground arcs. One of the most famous Viva's XP projects in South Dakota. It is a former military base consisting of 575 concrete bunkers. Each of them can be purchased and furnished to suit your taste, but this is just the tip of the iceberg, the true flagship of Vivo's Europa 1 in Germany. This structure, carved out of solid rock, was originally built by the Soviet Union as a storage facility for military equipment. Now it is one of the most elite bunkers on the planet. Its total area is more than 20,000 square meters. Inside, there are private apartments of up to 230 square meters each, which the owners decorate with marble and precious woods and equip with the latest technological innovations. There are swimming pools, cinemas, gyms, wine cellars, and even an underground garden with simulated sunlight for growing fresh vegetables and fruits. The complex is completely autonomous. Their own water sources, power plants, air filtration systems capable of withstanding nuclear, chemical, and biological threats. In essence, it is a tiny, invulnerable town where several dozen families can live for years without experiencing any hardship. The cost of entry into this elite survival club, according to experts, starts at between $3 million and $5 million for apartments, not including annual maintenance fees. But even with that money, you're not just buying real estate, you're buying a place in a carefully curated community. Each candidate undergoes a rigorous selection process to ensure their skills and profession will be useful in a post-apocalyptic world. Doctors, engineers, scientists, agronomists. They are all part of the same mechanism. This is the first alarm bell. The elite is preparing not just to sit it out, but to begin building a new world according to its own rules as soon as the dust of the old one settles. But no matter how luxurious the underground palace is, it remains a prison, a golden cage from which there is no escape. And this limitation forced the most farsighted to go even further. What could be more reliable than a military bunker designed to withstand a nuclear war? only a missile silo built to start it. This is the logic that underlies the survival condo project. This is, without exaggeration, one of the most astonishing engineering structures in the world of private security. Imagine an inverted skyscraper that goes 15 stories underground. Its walls are 3 m of reinforced concrete, designed to withstand a direct hit from a multi-megaton warhead. The complex is located in a former Atlas F intercontinental ballistic missile silo in Kansas, USA. Engineer and entrepreneur Larry Hall bought a decommissioned military facility and invested more than $20 million in its conversion. The result is astonishing. The complex is designed to accommodate 75 people for more than 5 years in complete autonomy. There are no apartments in the usual sense of the word. These are condominiums that occupy either an entire floor, about 170 square meters, or half. Prices range from $1.5 million to $4.5 million. But the most interesting thing is not the residential floors, but the infrastructure. Instead of windows, high-quality screens that broadcast live images from external cameras offer views of the mountains, ocean, or forest, creating the complete illusion of life above ground. Particular attention is paid to psychological comfort. The complex features a swimming pool with a water slide, a rock climbing wall, a cinema, a bar, a library, and even a dog park with artificial grass and fire hydrants. To maintain life, we have our own aquaponics system for tilapia fish breeding and vegetable growing. Power is provided by diesel generators and an on-site wind turbine, and safety is paramount here. The complex is under 24-hour surveillance by armed guards. The approaches to it are mined, and sniper positions are set up at the top of the mine. In essence, it is a vertical, impregnable fortress commune. Every resident is required to work a certain number of hours per week on general work. Whether it's being on duty at a medical station, working on a farm, or taking part in patrols. This is no longer just a hotel. This is a miniature model of a new society. But there is a fundamental flaw here too. You are tied to one point on the map. What if the epicenter of the disaster is too close? What if the new government that emerged after the collapse wants to get to your resources? True security is not about the thickness of the walls, but about not being where the danger is. And this idea took the race for survival to a whole new geopolitical level. When a bunker seems too cramped and a missile silo too static, the most insightful billionaires begin to think in terms of entire countries. They don't just build a shelter, they buy themselves a backup airfield, an entire country, which, according to their calculations, is most likely to survive global cataclysms. New Zealand emerged as the ideal candidate for this role. Why her? Geography is the key. It is a remote island surrounded by thousands of kilometers of ocean, making it a natural fortress against any land-based threats or mass migrations. The country has a moderate climate, fertile land, an abundance of fresh water and, most importantly, a stable political system and a low population density. Over the past 10 to 15 years, tech moguls from Cream Valley have flocked to New Zealand, buying up vast tracts of land and gaining citizenship. One of the most famous preppers of this level was Peter Thiel, co-founder of PayPal and one of the first investors in Facebook. He secretly obtained New Zealand citizenship after spending just 12 days in the country, causing a huge scandal. On his land near Lake Wanaka, he built what is described in documents as a luxury cottage. But, according to rumors from locals, it is a high-tech shelter with autonomous life support systems. And he is far from alone. Director James Cameron, Google co-founder Lee Peig and many other of the world's richest people have acquired property in the New Zealand outback. This phenomenon has become so widespread that it has been dubbed apocalypse insurance. The logic is simple. When chaos begins in the world, they will simply board their private jets and in 12 to 15 hours they will find themselves in personal paradise. Protected by the ocean and mountains. Their estates are more than just houses. According to leaks to the press, many of them are equipped with helipads, underground bunkers, weapons rooms, and food and medical supplies for several years. It's not just survival anymore. It is an attempt to preserve one's status and way of life by moving it to a safe point on the map. They create a state within a state, enclaves that, in the event of a collapse of central authority, can exist completely autonomously. But this plan also has a weakness. It depends on the stability of the chosen country. What if the New Zealand government, in a crisis, decides to nationalize foreign property? What if the local population, left without resources, does not want to put up with the existence of elite fortresses? Dependence on any land, on any nation, is a risk. And to eliminate even this, it was necessary to abandon the earth itself as a support. Giving up land is a radical idea. But before taking to the sea or the air, some decided to make the land itself their advantage, turning transport into an impenetrable citadel. We're not talking about the armored limousines used by politicians and businessmen. We are talking about a completely different class of machines, created in single copies for those who want to be able to move around a world destroyed by catastrophe. These machines are known in narrow circles as ground dreadnoughts. Imagine a luxury mobile home hybrid between an army armored personnel carrier and a mobile command center. One of the most impressive examples, leaked through industrial espionage, is the project codenamed Nomad. It was rumored to have been commissioned by a Middle Eastern sheikh for over $50 million. The Nomad is based on the chassis of a heavy-duty mining dump truck, completely redesigned and reinforced. The hull is made of composite armor that can withstand fire from a large-caliber machine gun in a mine blast. The human-sized wheels are puncture-resistant and can continue to move even after serious damage. But the main thing is inside. It is a two-story space, with the ground floor housing technical compartments, a diesel-electric power plant, an air filtration system, water and fuel reserves sufficient for an autonomous journey of 3,000 kilometers, as well as a garage for an ATV and a motorcycle intended for reconnaissance. The second floor is a luxury living area, with a master bedroom, bathroom, kitchen, and living room that, at the touch of a button, transforms into an operations center with satellite communications, thermal imaging, and 360 degrees panoramic views. The roof is equipped with a remote-controlled turret that can be equipped with non-lethal sonic or microwave weapons for crowd dispersal. In addition, active protection systems are located around the perimeter of the hull, similar to those installed on modern tanks, capable of shooting down incoming grenades. The Nomad NTO isn't just a vehicle, it's a self-sufficient home fortress that can navigate off-road terrain, deserts, and ruined cities for a month, providing its owner with a level of comfort and safety unattainable even for most heads of state. It is the perfect tool to wait out the first, most chaotic phase of a global collapse and then move to your primary refuge. But why move towards a shelter if the shelter can move itself, and not just on the ground, but on the surface of the water, where there are no roads or borders? The idea of living in the ocean, away from the problems of land, is not new, but the technological capabilities and capital of the 21st century have taken it to a whole new level. We're not talking about yachts, not even mega yachts. We are talking about the concept of completely autonomous artificial floating islands. One of the most talked about concepts, rumored to be in the early stages of development for a consortium of anonymous investors, is the Utopia project. This is not a ship, but a giant floating platform with a diameter of about 100 meters, reminiscent of a futuristic city from science fiction films. It is designed to be as stable as possible even in the strongest storms, thanks to 4 massive supports that go deep underwater and serve as stabilizers. Utopia is capable of slowly moving across the ocean at speeds of a few knots, using thrusters powered by ocean thermal energy. This is not just a house, it is a microstate. Several decks house residential buildings, offices, shops, a hospital, and even a school. In the center of the platform is a huge indoor atrium with swimming pools and a tropical garden. There are several helipads on the upper level. Energy independence is achieved through solar panels, wind turbines and, as already mentioned, ocean energy converters. Fresh water is obtained from freshwater plants. Food is grown in hydroponic greenhouses. But the most important thing is security and privacy. Being located in international waters, such an island city exists outside the jurisdiction of any state. He is a law unto himself. It can be surrounded by underwater and surface surveillance systems, acoustic repellents, and even private security services on speedboats. Engineers estimate that the cost of such a project could exceed $1 billion. But for its potential owners, this is an acceptable price for absolute sovereignty. This is no longer an escape from the world. This is the creation of a new world in one's own image and likeness. A world where there are no taxes, no governments, and no problems of the old civilization. But even utopia has its drawbacks. She is alone. It is large, noticeable, and relatively slow. This makes her a potential target. What if, instead of one large island, we created a whole flock of fast, stealthy, and interconnected predators? What if we raise the stakes even higher? Before we dive into the main mystery of the world's oceans, a final stop in the sky is needed because the most ambitious survival plan requires flawless logistics to carry out. We need the ability to evacuate key people, deliver valuable cargo and specialists from anywhere in the world to the assembly point at the right moment. And for this purpose, what in aviation security circles is called a shadow air fleet is being created. This is not just a fleet of private jets. It is a coordinated global evacuation system owned by major corporations and families. Its core is made up of long-haul aircraft such as the Gulfstream G650ER or the Bombardier Global 8.000. These vehicles are capable of flying more than 14,000 kilometers without refueling, connecting, for example, New York and Tokyo. But their standard equipment is just the tip of the iceberg. According to insiders at customization centers, these aircraft are undergoing extensive modernization, turning into true flying fortresses. They are equipped with missile defense systems similar to those installed on Air Force One. These are heat traps and dipole reflectors that can knock a heat or radar-guided missile off course. The fuselage is reinforced with Kevlar panels. Secure satellite communications systems are being installed, completely isolated from public networks. And electronic warfare systems capable of blinding enemy radars. Inside, there are not only luxurious interiors, but also medical modules capable of sustaining the life of a patient in critical condition, as well as weapons safes and storage facilities for particularly valuable cargo. But that's not all. In addition to jets, the Shadow Fleet also includes more exotic devices. Several billionaires are rumored to have invested in the development and purchase of helicopters with reduced radar and acoustic signatures. Essentially civilian equivalents of stealth technology, such machines are capable of infiltrating a chaotic zone undetected, evacuating a person from the roof of a skyscraper or a remote estate, and delivering them aboard a main aircraft waiting at the nearest safe airport, or, more likely, delivering them to a floating airfield or ship. This entire complex and incredibly expensive air logistics system is just a link in the chain. Just a tool serving the final, most ambitious project in the history of private survival. A project that exists at the intersection of naval technology, unlimited funding, and a paranoid desire for total autonomy. A project whose scale forced even experienced admirals to admit that a new, uncontrollable force had appeared on the planet. We descended into the bowels of the earth, crossed continents, and rose into the stratosphere. Each step demonstrated greater ambition. Greater detachment from the reality of the ordinary person. But everything we saw before was just preparation, just individual pieces of a puzzle that fits together to form a single, shocking picture here, in the vast expanses of the world's oceans. Because it is here, far from satellite surveillance, government radar, and prying eyes, that the final act of the play about elite survival unfolds. This is not one ship, not an island, and not a yacht. This is a whole fleet. A coordinated, self-sufficient, and constantly moving system that private intelligence sources call the Ark or Project Poseidon. And when military experts and admirals say they were shocked by the scale, they do not mean the size or the armament. They are shocked by the very concept of creating a private mobile civilization with logistics and autonomy comparable to the naval squadron of an average state. Let's take a look at what this fleet consists of, according to the leaked data. First of all, a flagship is not a luxury mega yacht designed for parties. This is the command center. The vessel is approximately 200 m long and was designed using military ship technology. Its body has elements that reduce radar visibility. It is equipped with state-of-the-art communications systems, an analytical center for monitoring the global situation, and residential apartments for the project's main shareholders. On board there is a hospital, superior in equipment to many city hospitals, laboratories, and workshops. Secondly, supply ships are the workhorses of the fleet. Among them is a ship farm. Imagine a giant floating greenhouse using multi-tiered hydroponics and aquaponics to produce vegetables, fruits, and fish. It is capable of providing hundreds of people with fresh food all year round. Next is the energy center ship. According to the most daring assumptions, it could be equipped with a compact and safe next-generation nuclear reactor, similar to those being developed for space missions, which would provide the fleet with a virtually inexhaustible source of energy. Plus huge areas of solar panels and wave energy conversion systems. There are also tankers for fresh water and fuel, and cargo ships carrying equipment, spare parts, and other necessities. Thirdly, and this is the most striking element of the escort. The fleet is not defenseless, but its defense is not guns and missiles, which would immediately attract the attention of the military. His main defense is secrecy. According to leaked data from European shipyards specializing in the construction of underwater vehicles, several anonymous private customers have purchased small and medium-sized diesel-electric submarines. Officially for research and tourism purposes. But experts are confident that these submarines have been deeply modernized. They are equipped with the latest sonars and electronic warfare systems. Their task is to patrol the waters around the fleet while remaining invisible. They are the eyes and ears of the Ark, able to detect any potential threat in advance, be it a warship, pirates, or other hostile group. They can create acoustic interference, luring unwanted guests away, or, in extreme cases, use torpedo weapons. The existence of a private submarine fleet takes the situation to a whole new level and is a shock to the military. This is no longer defense, this is control over maritime space. This fleet is not just a group of ships. It is a single organism connected to a secure quantum communication network that cannot be hacked. It is constantly on the move, cruising through the most remote areas of the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans, changing course according to unpredictable algorithms. It can split into several groups and reassemble at a given point thousands of miles away. To the outside world it does not exist. His ships can disguise themselves as ordinary merchant vessels. His submarines are invisible. A huge thank you to everyone who watched this episode to the end. Your support, likes and subscriptions are very important.